Hey there, it's Jen DeTracey from Women Thriving with MS. I'm the founder of Women Thriving with MS and Allow Healing for MS. And I just thought I'd pop in and shoot a little video here because today is a big day for me. It's my 13th anniversary since my diagnosis for multiple sclerosis. And I felt today was a really important day to send a message your way. For those of you that have noticed, I haven't really been posting actively within the pages and groups that I started. And so today is a big day. I want you to think about when you were diagnosed and what anniversary you are at and post that below and let us know how you're doing, because it'd be great to hear from all of you. And I appreciate all of you that have come on board even in the last year, whether it's on Allow Healing or Women Thriving with MS or the Women Thriving with MS group. I created all of these as a way to share my experiences as a woman who has been living with MS now for 13 years or more, basically. I'll tell you that story in a minute. And the ways that I have been able to cope and manage and move forward in my life, even despite adversity. That has been so important to me. I really wanted to create communities of women and people living with MS on the Allow Healing side of MS to come together. Now, there's lots of resources out there now. You can get all kinds of things. And I'm not here to talk about that so much. I want to really have you celebrate the progress that you have made, not progression of MS, of course, but the progress you have made to figure things out, to adapt, to adjust, to make changes in your own life so that you can function and have times in your life where you feel joy, where you feel happy, where you feel grateful in your life while living with MS. And for me, as many of you know, accepting MS into my life sounds like a spiritual practice, and it is, has been a big factor. So just going back to my history for a minute, I had really, really bad vertigo, probably about 5 years before I was diagnosed. It was debilitating. I ended up in the hospital. They didn't catch it as MS for some reason. I don't know why. I went to a small hospital at that time. That's where the ambulance took me because I was throwing up. And I couldn't stop throwing up because of the vertigo. I don't think I've ever had that happen before, and I've never had that happen since. Thank you very much. So fast track 5 years after that, I was on a speaking tour. A 3-day speaking tour. I had worked with this client before. My background's in marketing strategy and teaching marketing. And there I was, the day before I left for my trip, and my hand wasn't working very well. I thought it was the pen I was using. It was like one of those big jumbo pens. I'm like, this is just the pen. It's not my hand. I've got to go speak in front of like 20, 30, 40, 50 people every day, and I need to be okay. And there was something else that happened on that day too. On the day I noticed my hand, the day before my tour, is that at that time I was living by myself, but I had a dog, and I had a dog person that came in to take care of my dog, and she had a mental breakdown. So I had a lot of stress on me to find someone to take care of my dog. I also had witnessed a dog get run over by a truck going very, very fast on my neighborhood street. And I tried to stop that truck by yelling at it, but I couldn't, and this puppy came running out towards me and got schmucked. So it was a very difficult day, the day before the tour. And then once I started on the speaking tour, I had people taking me to my locations. I didn't have to drive, thank goodness. But I noticed on day 2 that my fatigue was so immense that I didn't know what to do. And at that time, I'd call myself a runner, a jogger. I went out and I thought I'd jog, and I noticed that my left leg was dragging behind me. And I thought it was funny. I really thought it was hilarious. I'm like, oh my goodness, my leg's dragging behind, but it doesn't hurt. Because me, I associated problems with pain. My hand didn't hurt, but it wasn't working. My leg now wasn't working. And by day 3, by the time I arrived home and my partner that I wasn't living with at the time picked me up, my lip was drooping. And they said to me, what the heck's going on with you, Jennifer? I'm like, this is what's happening, right? Back then I went by Jennifer. Now I go by Jen. So the next day I was very fatigued, very, very fatigued. But I didn't go to the hospital. I didn't even know what was going on. I just basically, I booked an appointment with my naturopath to get a tune-up. I went to my physiotherapist to get a tune-up, and both of them, this is really interesting, both of them said I had something going on in the C3, C4 area of my neck. Interesting, both of them. The next day, after sleeping a lot, I had an engagement. I was going to see a play with some friends. I was super excited. I came into town and I went to see the play. And as I was walking up to the entrance, where there was a lineup, as my legs dragging behind me, my friend says, Jen, what's going on with you? I said, I've got the lip drooping and hand not working and the leg, and it's kind of crazy, but, let's go see the play. And she's like, no. We need to get you to emergency. And I said, listen, we bought tickets to the play. Let's enjoy it. I'm really looking forward to it. And then we can talk about going to the hospital afterwards. And I thought she was a bit biased, right? Because she worked at the hospital that she wanted me to go to. I'm like, you're just pushing your hospital on me. So after the play, a group of us went for dinner. And then I said, okay, now I'm ready to go to the hospital, because you never go to the hospital emergency on an empty stomach. I didn't know that I was going to be fast-tracked there. So I get driven there. I get fast-tracked through. They give me a CT scan. And then this is now about midnight, and they move me into a holding area. And I'm like, okay, I'm in this holding area next to all these beds with curtains. And at 2 a.m, I got up and I went to see the nurse, and I said, all the tests have been done. Can I go home now? Like, what's the point of me staying here? And she goes, actually, we've called a neurologist, but she's not going to be able to come in till the morning. So you need to stay and wait, because we need to have her look at stuff and get feedback. I'm like, okay. Then the next morning happened and nothing happened. And in the early afternoon, this neurologist came in, Dr. Seo, what I consider to be a young woman. And she was friendly and warm and just someone that you feel so good around. You're like, I'm glad this is my neurologist. And she says to me, you've got inflammation of the brain. We need to get it down right away, like right now. But we can't do that until we do an MRI. And it's Sunday, and we can't get you in today. So we're going to admit you to the hospital. We're going to book an MRI as soon as we can get you a session. And I won't be here because I've got remote work I'm off to do. So you'll have so-and-so neurologist who will help you out. And then after that, I'll be your neurologist. And I thought, oh, lucky me. Meanwhile, I had no clue. I just thought, oh, everybody's taking care of me. I felt loved, cared for, but I had no idea what my diagnosis was going to be. I just thought, okay, she's got inflammation of the brain. She's going to confirm that. Then they're going to give me steroids. They're going to knock it down, and I'm going to go home, get back to work, get on my next tour. So I get admitted to a room. And then I start letting people know, like my sister who lives like a ferry ride away, and some friends, and a few business people in terms of some meetings I had. Hey, I'm kind of preoccupied at the moment. I'm in the hospital. The next morning, so Monday morning, early, 8 o'clock in the morning, my friend Yuvina, the one that wanted me to go to emergency, comes into my room. And she says to me, okay, I found a empty spot, like a cancellation for an MRI, and I'm going to take you downstairs. I'm like, what? Puts me in this chair, wheels me down, like great service, right? Wheels me down. I go have my MRI. When I come out, she's not there. And there's someone else, a porter, that takes me back upstairs. And it was kind of weird because I didn't hear from her like for the whole day and the rest of the day. And I'm like, that's strange. Like sometimes she checks in with me on her break and stuff like that. And as it turned out, she at that time was the person in charge of organizing all the MRIs. So I just got lucky in getting in there and getting one. The neurologist that came to greet me later for the first time came in. He was lined up at the door with 2 resident doctors in training. DeTracey, yes, that's me. Just want to let you know you've had your MRI and we're 99% sure that it's multiple sclerosis, but we need to do a lumbar puncture. A lumbar puncture? Huh. Do you have experience in that? Oh yeah, 25 years experience, but I don't have time, so I'm not going to do that. I'm like, okay then. And then boom, gone. At that moment, I was dumbstruck because honestly, I really didn't know what MS was. I looked over at my sister. She didn't know what MS was. She wasn't talking right at that moment, which is amazing because usually she has a lot to say. So she was in shock. And then I decided that if I didn't have an expert to do the lumbar puncture, I wouldn't go ahead with it. As it turned out the next day, because I had refused, that doctor came back and said, well, he didn't come back himself because he was too busy, but one of his resident doctors came back and said, listen, he'll do the MRI, he'll do the lumbar puncture, but it has to be with a group of students to watch. And I thought, you know what? Bring them in. Bring in busloads of students because this guy has had 25 years of experience and he is going to do the lumbar puncture on me. And he did it. It wasn't a big deal. Did it right there in my hospital bed. It was very sanitary. Obviously, he was training others, so he did a great job. I got lucky again. And then basically he left, and a few minutes later, they brought someone in to give me a steroid drip. And that happened for 3 days. And that made me batshit crazy. Not the first day, a little bit the second day, and on the third day when they asked me to, leave the hospital. Now that I've had my treatment, I was really, wasn't sleeping, very emotional, and a little crazy. And it took quite a while to get through that. So that's the basic story for you. And then it took me 3 months to get in to actually have a one-on-one with my neurologist as a follow-up, which was this original doctor, Dr. Seo, who had great compassion and great love and great experience. And just, I think, really cared about her patients a lot. I say that she's not dead. I just said that because I live in another city now, so I don't have her as my neurologist anymore, unfortunately. Anybody who goes to her loves her. So that was a blessing. So that was the beginning of my journey with MS, being labeled, diagnosed. And since then, especially in the first 2 years, it was very, very difficult for me. I was a big hot mess, and it's taken me quite a long time to figure things out. Right now, I'm stable. I do get episodes of vertigo sometimes for stints of time, so that would be like a symptom reaction that happens because I have a lesion on the eye center of my brain, and I live with fatigue, which seems to get more as I age, as I'm a menopausal woman now, and also that seems to be the case, particularly because I have earlier this year, completed my 2nd year of Mavenclad. Now, if you haven't had a chance to hop onto the YouTube channel, or if that's where you found me in the first place, you might have heard some of this stuff before. That is where you can find all my videos, womenthrivingwithms.com. No, that's the website page. The YouTube channel is Women Thriving with MS. So there you go. I just wanted to, again, put down below what your anniversary is, even if it's not today, just what year you were diagnosed. That gives us a sense of how long you've been diagnosed with MS and how you're doing now. That'd be great. I'd love to hear from you. I'm sure that all of the people as part of the group, the page, and the pages, Facebook pages, would love to hear from you too. And make this a great day. Do something nice for yourself today. Do something that brings you joy. I'm shooting this video because that brings me joy to share with you. I'm Jen DeTracey, founder of Women Thriving with MS. Big hugs to all of you. And, carry on with your journey. Look for the joy. Look for the possibility. Look for how you can adapt. Celebrate yourself. Rest. I'm about to have a nap after I post this video. My daily afternoon nap. That's what keeps me going. And I will see you soon, hopefully. Bye now.